Welcome to 10-Minute Type Advice by Personality Hacker. I'm Joel Mark Witt.
And I'm Antonia Dodge.
This show features questions from the Personality Hacker community that we answer in about 10 minutes. We've been using personality types in our coaching for years, and we'd love to answer your questions about personal growth through the lens of type. You can find out more about us at personalityhacker.com. Okay, now let's hear today's question.
Hi, Joel and Antonia. My name is Casey, and I'm an INTJ from Los Angeles. My question is, how do I get myself out of the 2-year loop that I've been in? I've been unemployed, my credit score has plummeted, I'm in massive debt, I have no goals, no real ambitions, no desire to do anything that I don't want to do, and I spend my time watching YouTube and researching things that I have interest in. Any help would be wonderful, because this is really, really killing me. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey, for the question. As an INTJ, you feel stuck, dysthymic. Your goals are lacking. You don't even want to do anything. How in the world do you get yourself out of this situation? Well, how did you even get here? Probably is the good question, too. Like, this is not a good place for you as an INTJ, and it makes sense you want to move into forward motion. It almost sounds like, I bet you there's a secret revolt going on inside of yourself. That's where immediately I start to look for the energy of what would cause a block like this. What would be something this severe on all channels that you're involved with? And immediately I say, I bet there's a revolt inside of your essence, your heart, the vibrancy of your life that just doesn't want to do things that aren't in alignment for you anymore. And I bet it's just revolting. This part of you is revolting against the rest of you and saying, we're just not going to do it, Casey. And this revolt would make sense in the framework of the INTJ personality. If we look at it through the cognitive functions that INTJs use, their tertiary cognitive function, or what we call the 10-year-old, is a mental process technically called introverted feeling. We've nicknamed it authenticity. It's all about what is the core resonance inside of yourself as a person. What are the core values you carry through life? What resonates with you? What's in alignment for you as a person? What makes a statement about who you are, your identity, your motivations, the things that make you get up and do stuff in the world? My suspicion is this part of you is in absolute and total lockdown revolt. It's sitting down in the sand with its arms crossed saying, Casey, I'm not going to take one step forward until we get ourselves in alignment. So the goal would be to find out how to get that part of you in alignment so that you can begin moving forward again.
Yeah, it does sound like that part is in some sort of rebellion or revolt. And Casey, first of all, thank you for your radical honesty. I really appreciate the transparency of the question. I think it's not uncommon for INTJs to struggle with something like this. And Casey herself even identified it as a loop, which means the driver and the 10-year-old are in cahoots with each other, or the dominant and tertiary cognitive functions are looping. And oftentimes that does happen when, or it can happen when the 10-year-old or tertiary has felt like it has not been well represented. But I don't have enough history to know what Casey's relationship with extroverted thinking or effectiveness has been up till now as a co-pilot or auxiliary function. Is it that, the assumption is that, we live in a world that very much rewards that function. So we always kind of default to maybe the INTJ was there too much and asked their 10-year-old or tertiary to follow them into places that it didn't feel good about. Like, you got a job and you had to do a bunch of stuff just to pay the bills, and you had to just be, in action and productivity and maybe making choices that weren't right for you because the world kept rewarding your choices. Definitely go be a professional, or definitely go get your college degree in engineering, or, whatever messaging got applauded so much that you didn't feel permission to do what was right for you. This is a very common ITJ theme, and so I think it's not inappropriate to jump to that one being the most likely scenario. But there are other scenarios. I mean, there are some INTJs who have never really formed a good relationship with their co-pilot or auxiliary function of extroverted thinking or effectiveness. Like, nobody taught them how to do it. I've had ITJ friends that were raised by people who maybe even frustrated their attempts to accomplish things. And so that relationship with that function never got built enough to know how rewarding it is to use. And so they got the opposite societal messaging, which isn't go be productive and, churn out and just, be productive. They got the other message, which is like be yourself, never be forced into something that isn't right for you. Make sure you're, following your dreams. And it's more of a message that's in alignment with introverted feeling or authenticity. And so that got rewarded or that got reinforced. So the two most likely scenarios for an ITJ is that you've overdone that auxiliary or co-pilot function and not honored the 10-year-old or tertiary. And so as you just described, Joel, it would be in a revolt, right? It's not moving until it gets honored. The other one is the ITJ just hasn't put themselves in enough positions to have a win with their extroverted thinking or effectiveness. They don't know how rewarding it is to use that function, or they don't feel like they have enough, skill developed to really make something big happen. And there's a little bit of a fantasy element to INTJs as well. There's some idealization about what can be accomplished. And if they can picture it inside of themselves and they've been attempting to make this happen in the outside world, and the outer world products, right, the impact they were able to make or the result of their work didn't quite match the fantasy that was inside. And I don't mean the word fantasy in like a derogatory way. I mean like the imaginings inside of us are never, ever quite met when we bring it to the outside world. There can be a discouragement there too. Like I imagined it was going to be better than it actually ended up being. So we don't have a really targeted diagnostic, and we're limited to 10 minutes here. Well, about 10 minutes. We'll probably break through. But so we're limited to 10 minutes. So I think we should give some general advice for INTJs. And there's a lot of value in both that co-pilot auxiliary function of extroverted thinking or effectiveness. But man, if you're in a really bad loop, sometimes going to that process just feels too much and too big. Like that's kind of what you're trying to avoid right now is the reckoning that's going to happen there. You've already communicated the metrics, unemployed, your credit score is in the trash right now, and you're really struggling or in the tank. I don't remember exactly what Casey said, but it's not good. And so going and doing all the things you need to do to go repair that might just feel like too much. And so sometimes for an INTJ, it's about getting into action at all. So there is something to be said for the 3-year-old or inferior function of extroverted sensing or sensation as a place of rekindling the fire of your motivation. Like we are primarily motivated by what we call our backseat passengers, meaning that that's what pilot light for us. That's like what keeps the hot burning coals going. Our skills and our talents are found in the front seat, and that's how we make life happen. But the things we want are almost always represented in those backseat passengers. And extroverted sensing or sensation is about getting into action, and it kind of doesn't matter what. So extroverted thinking or effectiveness is going to have goals. It's going to ask you to make a plan and then work the plan and have all of these markers and metrics you're going to want to hit. And that's a place that is where you want to end up. That is the end of the tunnel, is being in that place and repairing what you're talking about through targeted projects and goals and feeling really good about accomplishing those things. But right now it sounds like you just need to get into action. And I would recommend that you go to that 3-year-old or inferior function to get into your body, to get into a space of action and activity. The two main qualifiers of extroverted sensing or sensation are what we're paring down to max aliveness and effortless flow. If you want to get into that function, you want to either be in a place of max aliveness, which means that your blood is pumping through your veins, you feel this spike of adrenaline, like life is big and it's filled with sensations. And the other side is effortless flow, which is a feeling like the things you're doing are natural for you, that you're just in this flow of life and whatever happens next is the right next action. And you just kind of allow yourself to emerge with the context in real time. But both of them are about being present. And if you are in a space where you're just doing tons of research and you're only researching the things that are interesting to you and you just don't want to do anything else, you might need to remind yourself why life is worth living, that there are sensations and experiences out there moments of presence that are available to you. And you might just need to give yourself that gift. I mean, go do something that makes you feel alive. Go ziplining or go on an intense hike. Go get inside your body and remember why you are more than just a vehicle for carrying your brain around. That you're a person with experiences and a lot of experiences ahead of you. And go remember what it's like to feel alive again. And I would recommend going that direction. And then I would also seek a place of effortless flow, looking for activities that keep you in motion but don't feel like you're having to do too much to keep you there. And then as you wake yourself up to the world around you, and you're not just in a space of hiding, but you're engaged again and you're living life and you remember what this is all about, then start to hook it into what do you want for yourself? What do you want to have accomplished? If you leave a thumbprint on the world, what does that thumbprint look like? What impact did you have? And what are the things that you need to do to have that impact? And how do you keep them in alignment with your values and the things that are right to you? Not what feels good, but feels right, and taking that right action.
I think that's all brilliant, Antonia. I also just want to offer a resource to any INTJ that's listening. Well, anybody that's listening, quite frankly. We recorded a podcast a while back called the HAT model, HAT. It's an acronym. It stands for Healing, Achievement, Transcendence. It'd be a good podcast to go listen to because we talk about the phases we go through in our personal growth journey. Sometimes we're in a healing time period. Sometimes we're in an achievement time period, getting a lot done. And sometimes we're in a transcendent or more spiritual or intuitive place. And sometimes when we feel stuck, we can have switched a category we're used to being in. So for example, Casey, maybe you're used to being in an achievement mindset. Maybe you are used to getting lots of things done. And so now in your life, maybe you're right now in more of a healing space or a transcendent space. And things aren't working the way they once did. You're not achieving what you once did. And you're like, what's wrong? Something's terribly wrong. Sometimes it's categorical. So again, self-reflection, self-understanding goes a long way here. And that's just another resource to consider. Maybe you're just categorically in a different place in your life on the timeline. Thanks so much for the question, Casey. You can ask your own question about personality types or personal growth. Visit personalityhacker.com/questions. We also have programs designed to help you with your personal growth through the lens of personality types. Again, visit personalityhacker.com and find the program that's made just for you. My name is Joel Mark Witt.
And I'm Antonia Dodge.
Thank you for listening to 10-Minute Type Advice by Personality Hacker. We'll talk with you on the next episode. If you're focused on personal growth, I think you'll resonate with our core content over at personalityhacker.com. We want to see you understand how your mind is wired so you can generate motivation, improve social skills, find career opportunities, and master excellent decision making. But a quick warning, we are advice and action focused in all of our articles, podcasts, and videos. This means that we attract people who like to be challenged to become excellent, to take action, to put in the work to optimize themselves, not simply just gather more information. If you are committed to personal growth and ready to radically find your inner truth, then come over and be a part of our growing community of like minds at Personality Hacker.